So the first thing my mom kind of taught me was halt now, HALTNOW, 2 words. And so it's an acronym, and so H is for hungry, and then angry, lonely, tired, nighttime, offended, and worried. And she taught me that if any of those things are wrong with you, if you're hungry, if you're lonely, maybe you're offended, if any of those things are happening, then you are not ready to make a big decision. So if you're ever in a mindset of like, I don't think I can do this, I think I'm going to quit, just like 3 days ago, I was laying in bed. It was like night, it was probably like 1 a.m. I was like, I'm quitting track. I don't want to do it. It's going to be too much work. I think I'm done. I was like, let me sleep on it and I'll wake up and see what I think. And like in that moment, I was tired. It was nighttime. I was just recently offended. I was like, there were a lot of things wrong. And coming out of it now, coming just from practice last night, I had a great time. I don't want to quit, right? And so that's been a great one is halt now, because it also tells you to stop, take a break, take a breather, analyze yourself, and figure out why you feel it and what you're feeling. Because usually when you're in all those emotional things or all those problems with you, you are not ready to make a decision.
Welcome to the EQ Gangster podcast, where you will learn practical tools to grow your mental and emotional health and intelligence to be the best version of yourself, both at work and at home. It is real, raw, and transformational. The journey of emotional growth isn't easy, but it's worth it. I believe in you.
What's the word, bro? It's good to see you, man.
You too. It's been a long time.
Yeah, dude, it has been. Great to see you, bro. I love all your artwork in the background, bro. That's
It's
epic.
they're vinyls records, and I put them up in a
Nice.
grid. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. How have you been, bro? Give me the latest and greatest.
Doing really good. Just started track practice. So been running a lot. It's been a lot of work. And then besides that, just working on my senior thesis, kind of getting ready to graduate, getting excited.
That's awesome. And you've been homeschooled for how long?
I've been homeschooled forever. So
So from the
from
jump.
kindergarten all the way through.
And how long have you been with Classical Conversations?
So I started classical conversations in the middle school years. So 3 middle school years. I started in kind of the second middle school year, and then I've been with that through middle school, and then all the way continuously through high school.
That's awesome. Dude, that's great. So you've been homeschooling forever. You've been in Classical Conversations for a hot minute. And so you also, the other thing I know about you is you're an entrepreneur and you started your business when?
So I really started my photography business. I've always kind of had a passion for it in middle school, but it never really just did anything with it. And then it was around freshman and sophomore year that I had one of my friend's older sister say, "Hey, would you take my senior photos?" And I'd done nothing with portraits ever. It was totally new to me. And I was like, sure, I can try. And then after that, I mean, I had more people going, "Hey, take photos of me now. I want to do it." And then now it's grown into a business. And actually tomorrow I'm taking headshots for a company. So it's it's going crazy.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
you've had your photography business for 4 years,
Just
five
about
years,
4 years now.
four
Yeah.
years. Okay. And what's the name of your business and what's your website?
So it's King Tide Photography is what it is. And then so if you search that up on Instagram, you can find it, and then it's got the link to my website and all the stuff on there. So
That's great.
yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so big haul. So we met at a it's kind of a s- unofficial kind of Classical Conversations challenge high school retreat,
Yep.
not necessarily exclusively for homeschool kids. A lot of them are homeschool kids, but anyone I think can participate.
Hmm.
And and so I met you there, and the timing was really unique, I think, because recently there was a another homeschool young man who took his life, and about a third, 30 to 40% of the other high school students that were at this high school retreat knew this young man.
Mm-hmm.
And that brought up a lot of obviously emotions, because it happened, kind of not too, uh, uh, it was very recent,
Yeah.
like a week or two, maybe 3 weeks, and then then this retreat happened,
Mm-hmm.
and so a lot of the students that were there obviously were still very much in their grieving and mourning process, and of course I had met you, that during that obviously that retreat. I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember exactly how we initially had connected, but somehow I had said, "Hey guys, I do a lot of stuff in the emotional health space, emotional intelligence space, and
Mm-hmm.
I'd be more than happy to talk to the students, given the retreat's permission, the parents' permission,
Mm-hmm.
of course, to allow the students a safe, productive place to share and express their
Yeah.
emotions, right? And I could facilitate it and stuff. And so through somewhere, in, around, through, about that experience, you and I, you had kind of come up to me and say, "Hey, dude, something like, hey, I dig this EQ stuff. I actually, know quite a bit as well." Then you started to drop skinny on me, and I'm like, "Jeepers crow, bro! Like you like you got all kinds of EQ skinny." And so it was awesome, right? It was for a number of reasons. One, there are not many dudes, period, in the U.S. that know a whole lot about emotional intelligence or emotional health. They may have
Mm-hmm.
heard the words, they may know it intellectually,
Right.
but very, very few dudes, well, and ladies too, maybe in some cases, but especially dudes have an actual emotional health and emotional fitness program.
Yeah.
Um,
It's the application that they're missing.
right. And so, can you share? And from what I understand, your mom, it's your mom's fault, right? Right. She's the one who
That's right.
has been teaching you all this stuff, which is fire. Okay, so I got tons of questions, dude. So when did she start teaching you this stuff? Let's start there. Easy peasy, base hit.
I feel like really she started. I feel like it was around um freshman year. So freshman year and the year before that, end of middle school, I really started to become my own person. You really enter like the dialectic phase, and you start questioning, and you really start combating. And I feel like that's where my mom and I really, our relationship really blossomed a lot, because I would question her on things that'd be like, all right, well, why is that the way that it is? Why are we like this? And I was also doing lots of science fair work at that time, so we were connected a lot of the time, working together on my science fair stuff. So that's where it really started, because I would have a freak out. I'm like, I can't do this. This is too much work. And then we would process. She'd be like, okay, why? You know, let's dive into it. And I feel like that's really how it blossomed. And then throughout my high school years, she's taught me a lot. So she is in therapy for her mother. My mom grew up in a really rough household, a lot of emotional baggage coming into adulthood. And so she still goes to therapy today to kind of deal with that. And she's learned a lot of stuff. And then when she learns that kind of stuff, she passes it to me when I'm open to it. And it's been really nice, because I would say the relationship I have with my parents is phenomenal, spectacular. And so really, especially with my mom, we can talk about that hard stuff of like, this is scary, I'm not doing well. And then, we keep each other accountable. And she'll be like, hey, go get in the right mindset, and then we'll talk, because you're not going to remember anything if we talk right now. And then sometimes it's the same way, where I'm like, all right, just take a break, we'll come back, right? And it started around, I don't know how old, 14, 13, kind of when I started thinking for myself, really. So,
Yeah. Okay. That's excellent. That is excellent. And that's something that we have been, I'd say, very intentional at communicating with our daughter as well, because she's right at
mhm,
the age when you started learning is when, kind of when we've been, I mean, in
right,
some way, right? There's some stuff that we started teaching her at 4 years old, but some of the more deeper emotional work or emotional exercises it's kind of more recently,
right.
and she's 14, so she's about that age when you sounds like you kind of started. What Okay, so before I get into the actual some of the tools and things that you have actually learned and that you communicated to me on that high school retreat, what impact has it had on you so far over these past 3 or 4 years that you've been learning this stuff?
It's been very, very, I mean, it's been very, very beneficial. And not only for myself, but for I feel like a lot of my peers. Because me personally, I mean, I have a very, very stable, healthy household. I really do. And I have lots and lots of friends who do not have that. And so, I tell a lot of people, you gave the rocks in your backpack analogy. You have everyone has a backpack, and when you give your problems to someone else, you got to be careful that you're not putting rocks in their backpack, right? And I tell people, hey, I've got a lot of emotional, bandwidth. Like lay it on me. What you got? What are the problems you have? And it's been really helpful because the things that I learned, and since I have such a emotional like safety net here at home, I can tackle tough things with my peers, and it's been really, really great. It's been really beneficial. I have lots of friends. I have this one friend, and she called me one night and she was like, "Can I just come talk to your mom?" And I was like, "Sure, come on over." And it's we really, I thank my parents a lot for opening up the household like they do. This is a safe spot. We've had people come over like, "I just need a place to be for like 3 days," and we're like, "Sure, absolutely, come on over." So it's impacted not only me and my growth as I've gone out and ventured into the world, but people that come and interact with me and our family. It's also been uplifting for them too. So
Love it. So, and I've done a number of episodes on exactly that point. So to hear you say that straight up is absolutely bad to the bone. That a couple things. The more emotionally stable and predictable the home environment is,
mhm,
that creates the most productive and healthy environment for children to grow up in,
right,
and therefore can create an environment that allows for an increased emotional bandwidth to handle kind of more
exactly,
stuff, right? And so, and then for your family's even availability for some of your friends and stuff to be able to come and
yeah,
connect. So not just
physically.
you with your friends, but also your mom and stuff. That's awesome. How? So I want to hear, how has it impacted you specifically? So you said, hey, so one way is okay. It's increased my kind of emotional bandwidth, which is fire, and I 100% agree with you. What are maybe some other ways also that you have seen emotional intelligence at work in your life?
I feel like, not to toot my own horn, but it's helped me. I feel like it's helped me process things and tackle large quantities of almost work. Because I mean, back about 4 months ago or so, I was working on my Eagle Scout. I had so many things all crammed into so much time. I was working on so many scholarships. I was writing 2 essays a day, kind of, getting to the line of the due date for all these scholarships, and through doing some of this of the higher level classes for CC, classical conversations, I've had sometimes a much larger workload than anyone else in regular school would have. And I feel like it's allowed me to be able to tackle these things and accomplish more, because I'm not stuck in my own head. I'm able to get emotional, process it, be done with it, and get right back to work, because it's almost like it was either my mom or I don't know. I saw this on TikTok or something, but it's almost like with studying, if you study for an hour straight, your productivity starts up here and then it slowly, slowly goes down. But if you take like breaks in between your studying, you study for 20 minutes and then you take a break. And then when you start again, you're back up to the top of productivity and then you stay up there as you keep going. And so I've almost like felt that way when it comes to like my workload because I can get emotional and then I'm able to deal with it. I take a break and then I'm right back up to productivity. So that's where I've seen it the most in like schoolwork and like, because I'm, juggling a lot of things. And that's the best part of homeschooling is the freedom. I'm allowed to juggle all these things. I can juggle, trips with my parents, going to fishing tournaments, science fair, Boy Scouts, my business, I can juggle all these things. And the emotional intelligence I feel like has helped me do all those things with the limited time that I have.
Love it. And that's so many great points there, Hall. Love it. That, so yes, 100% agree. That's the beauty of homeschooling, right? So I'm a public school guy. My wife is she was private Christian school, and then our daughter, of course, has been doing homeschooling from the jump. And I absolutely, and both my wife and I work from home for the past 17 years or so, plus or minus. And
Mhm.
so our daughter has had two stay-at-home parents, which have been super dope. And of course we homeschool, right? So
Right.
the flexibility, like you said, that homeschool provides is awesome. But then in addition to that, your emotional intelligence on top of your opportunity for more flexibility has provided you to be able to juggle a lot of different things
That's right.
well, because not everyone, there's a lot of people I know that whether it's public school, private school, homeschool, whatever, that have
Right.
a zillion things going on, but
They're
they
not happy.
they they're not happy.
Right.
They're doing that stuff out of a performance based, trying to seek validation or approval.
Exactly.
They're trying to please somebody else, right? They're not coming from an emotionally healthy place.
Mhm.
Whereas because you've grown up in an emotionally healthier environment and you've been working on your stuff as well, and you have these tools, you can pursue things that you want to pursue because you genuinely want to pursue them and are emotionally healthy enough and have the emotional bandwidth to pursue those things. And because of your awareness and your management skills, self-management skills, okay, well, I'm getting a little, like you said, I'm getting a little exhausted or a little tapped out here. I need to take a little bit of a break.
That's right.
Let me see where I'm doing. Let me process my emotions. Boom, and now you can jump back in the fight, so to speak. That is fire, bro. What do you want to do with your life?
Um, I don't really know. I'm kind of open to whatever. I know that I'm gonna get either a business management degree or go in and be an analyst or something. That's really one of where I'd be. But corporate really interests me for just management and things like that. So I know it's going to be that direction. Photography is not going to be my main career. It's always something I'll do on the side, but I want to have a large family. I want to have a stable income, and that's photography. It's not quite. It can be, but it's a service, so you're only providing when people want it. And especially during the winter time, not everybody wants to go outside and take photos. So um, that's I have an open mind when it comes to it, but I know the general direction I'm going to head towards.
Got it. So something business related, whether it's corporate or maybe even entrepreneurship, whatever.
Right.
I'm this is going to be my, well, so I've got a couple plugs, right? So obviously I'm plugging emotional intelligence and emotional health and developing an emotional fitness program. I'm
Hmm.
also, plugging homeschooling, right? Because I'm a huge,
Right.
now again, I'm a public school, so I'm not hating on any other
Yeah.
models, but I just am very, very, over a decade now, home educating our kid, our world changer. And man, there is no other, I would do it all day, every day, all over again, the same exact way,
Yeah.
because of what we're seeing, the results, the outcomes, the maturity, the
That's
work
great.
ethic, the drive, the character, the integrity, the relationship with the Lord, it's, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? All, again, truckload of school kids that I've met are just amazing. Now, is every homeschool kid a rock star? Of course not. Just like every public school kid, right? And for the people out there like, oh, homeschool is a strange bruise. Like, again, I've been in public school. Like, I've got more than a handful of strange brew public
Right.
school kids. So it's not like strange brews are, limited to homeschooling.
Hmm.
And heck, I may be that strange brew kid from public school to some people. So the other thing I'd plug is, yes, is entrepreneurship, right? We've been entrepreneurs for over 2 decades. And again, the same reason I love homeschooling. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I love homeschooling, but one of those reasons why I love homeschooling is the flexibility. It's exactly why I love entrepreneurship.
Right.
That's exactly right. Because I'm an executive coach, executive leadership coach, right? I do emotional intelligent leadership coaching, speaking, uh, podcast, etc. Right. And so the flexibility, I can bump my schedule up as much or as little as I want to. And it has been such a blessing. Is it everyone's jam? Absolutely not. But anyway, I'm a huge, huge proponent because again, especially, if you want to have a truckload of kids, which is awesome, bro, that, for me, I have just loved, like, in terms of time, bro, we, over the past 17 years, we have been multi billionaires, right? In terms of time, we're
Yeah.
not necessarily killing it financially necessarily. I mean, I'm thankful, we're very blessed and stuff, but
Yeah.
in terms of time, dude, I don't know anybody on the planet that has as much time with their family as we do. I'm
Exactly.
sure there's some out there. Obviously, there's some out there, but it's very, very, very small percentage of the population.
Hmm.
Two stay-at-home parents and homeschooling daughter, right? So our daughter's never known her parents to have a job, to work outside the house, which has again been such a blessing. Um, so okay, now I want to get to tools, bro. So tools. What have been some helpful tools for you along your emotional growth journey, or just powerful things that you remember? Dude, you shared, I want to say, 3 to 4 different sets of skinny about EQ over that challenge retreat that I was like, dang, that is fire. So hit it, bro. What have been some great tools, things that you remember that have helped you along your journey?
So I guess I'll just kind of go through kind of like what I learned first. Um, so the first thing my mom kind of taught me was halt now, HALTNOW, 2 words. And so it's an acronym, and so H is for hungry, and then angry, lonely, tired, nighttime, offended, and worried. And she taught me that if any of those things are wrong with you, if you're hungry, if you're lonely, maybe you're offended, if any of those things are happening, then you are not ready to make a big decision. So if you're ever in a mindset of like, I don't think I can do this, I think I'm going to quit, just like 3 days ago, I was laying in bed. It was like night, it was probably like 1 a.m. I was like, I'm quitting track. I don't want to do it. It's going to be too much work. I think I'm done. I was like, let me sleep on it and I'll wake up and see what I think. And like in that moment, I was tired. It was nighttime. I was just recently offended. I was like, there were a lot of things wrong. And coming out of it now, coming just from practice last night, I had a great time. I don't want to quit, right? And so that's been a great one is halt now, because it also tells you to stop, take a break, take a breather, analyze yourself, and figure out why you feel it and what you're feeling. Because usually when you're in all those emotional things or all those problems with you, you are not ready to make a decision. And so that's been a good one. My mom, she made me, towards kind of, I would say like the end of freshman year and sophomore year, we became like more disconnected as had I was feeling more complex feelings and I didn't know what they were. I didn't want to express anything more than I'm fine, just just tired, right? And so then she started me with the mood meter app and was like, you have to use this. And I was like, fine, fine, I'll use it if it makes you leave me alone almost. And then using it now, now I'm like, even with some of my friends, I'm like, well, what's wrong with you? And they're like, I don't know, just kind of like angry. I'm like, that's not good enough. I was like, I want you to download this and I want you to pick one. I was like, pick one pick one, decide on it, and then we're going to go further. I was like, because you can't just tell me angry because I don't know how to fix angry. Angry doesn't help me. You right? And then and then let's see. Oh, and then my mom, she also taught me this thing called the it's called the drama triangle. So if you ever have kind of like a conflict, there are three things that a person can turn into. There's I don't know what order they go in, so don't I don't know which way they go, but one of them's the victim, one is the hero, and the other one is the I don't know what the name of it is, but they shut down. They just leave. They just exit almost. And so that's been kind of cool because when you kind of me and my best friend, and he's my best friend because we're so different. I mean, one day I could tell you that I hate him, and the next day I'll tell you that I love him to death. Like, I mean, it's just we clash a lot, and that's what makes our friendship so strong. But with him, you know, it's once you figure out kind of how people are going to react, what role they're going to play, then immediately you can jump in and then you can tailor your conversation where you almost how they're going to react, and not necessarily just with him, but I mean with everybody. Everyone reacts differently because for me and my mom, we're both like the hero. We try to fix everything, put ourselves on top. None of them are healthy, right? But those are a couple of my favorite quick little things that she's taught me or I've just learned throughout
Yeah,
my
no, that's money.
career.
And I just looked that up. So it's the rescuer or hero, the persecutor,
Hmm.
and the victim
That's right.
are the three for the drama triangle there. Yeah, that's excellent. And if we're not, yeah, if we're not aware, well, heck, and I've been all three, right? I've been
Yeah,
in various phases and stuff. I have been
for
all
sure.
three of those different areas. Okay, so love it. Drama triangle, halt now, love those tools. Any other lessons about emotions, emotional health, emotional intelligence that your mom has taught you that has really been impactful for you?
Um, I don't know. For she's taught me a lot about anger and depression because for me, I'm kind of like a grandpa in the way that I think. I really, I have a heart when someone tells me that they are depressed. Usually I'm pretty I like to be nice, but in my mind I'm pretty blunt. I'm like, no, you're not depressed, you're just sad. And it's that kind of thing because me and my little brother, the next one down from me, he'll be 13 pretty soon. I mean, we could not be more polar opposites. I mean, we are very, very, very different people. So my mom has been the mediator of the emotional clash that me and him have, right? Because he's really sensitive. He'll get offended with things really easily. And I didn't even cross my mind that you could get offended by that, right? And so I think just I've grown a lot in awareness of being careful, especially when it's your family members, because my mom, she says this all the time of sometimes when I'm not being nice or something, she'd be like, well, would you treat so and so this way? Would you treat your buddy this way? And I'd be like, I guess not. And she's like, well, why treat me any different? Because with our family, we can treat them poorly and we'll still see them tomorrow. They can't leave, right? Or I mean, they can, but not they can't really leave like a friend can. And so I mean, that's it's kind of funny. You always, you for me, there's two ways that you always treat people. One of them I learned from Mr. Truitt. Always treat someone as if they know something that you don't, because everyone has something to offer, whether it be another opinion, knowledge, wisdom, can be anything. Everyone has something to offer, even if you don't think so. So always, always treat people as if they know something you don't, and then always be aware that not everyone thinks like you. No one thinks perfectly like you do, but I mean, there's no larger stark difference than me and my brother. And I've really learned that through my mom, of just that awareness of like, you need to realize that he is not you. You are not him. And so it's been that's been like the biggest place to grow. And I don't necessarily have a tool for that, besides just calling it, better awareness.
Absolutely. Um, has there been a process that you have grown your awareness, or has it been from just the all the little conversations that you've had with your mom that have really helped to like help you become more aware?
It's been mostly trial and error, realizing, oh man, hurt his feelings again, pushed it too far, just messing around too much. But then also, I wouldn't say that there's a necessarily a curriculum or anything that, she really taught me through that. But it's, just, you know, pay attention, when, you have to learn the cues of these people, right? When he does this, or when he picks up a book instead of talking to you, maybe you pushed them too far, right? You need to be aware of those things. And I guess it was just, trying to notice the cues, notice his cues, because I kind of treated him like he was a little me, because the next brother down is just like me. I mean, we are the exact same person, but then there's Camper and he's totally not. And so I got to remember that sometimes, because I love them both to death, right? I mean, I love them so, so much. And with the big age gap, it's been the largest thing of just, getting better at realizing that we're not the same. But that's not a bad thing either.
Absolutely. What what advice, so just kind of wrapping up here, what advice would you share to maybe both and to parents of teenagers and to teenagers about emotional health or emotional intelligence?
Yeah. I would say for the teenagers out there, you know, I'm very blessed with the relationship that I do have with my parents. It's not all been my work that I've done, to get me to where I am. But, for the teenagers, I think it's really, I think the number one thing you have to try to do with your parents is find common ground, and really try to connect with your parents. So me and my dad, I feel like our relationship has exploded uh, spectacularly from 16 to 18, because we found common ground. And now, I mean, he's one of my best friends. We can joke around together, we poke fun. I mean, we just have the most fun together ever, because we're alike now. We can, obviously he's my dad and I treat him with respect and everything, but we found that common ground. And so for teenagers, I would say, you know, I would say that respect is getting your foot in the door to deeper conversations, because especially with my dad, as soon as if he's felt disrespected, and it's the same way for me too. This is nothing against him at all. The second that he feels disrespected, and it goes the same for my mom too. The second, you know, disrespected or something like that, then the conversation begins to shut down, because I'm not, you're not mature enough to handle it. So I would say that for teenagers, respect is the number one thing to start with, because they absolutely are your parents. And I've had a lot of friends who, their parents just tell them, you're not old enough. They hear that all the time, is you're not old enough. And I really think, for a parent listening, never tell your kids that they're not old enough. I'm not a parent, so I don't, I don't want to sound all prestigious or anything, but my dad never really told me that I wasn't old enough. He never sheltered, neither one of my parents did. Never. You're not, there was never you're not ready for this conversation, because the second you shut someone down and tell them that they're not old enough, they'll start believing it and they'll go, I don't have to act older because I'm not. And they will sit back and like go away from maturity, right? And so I think that's been the number one best thing that my parents ever did, was never tell me that I wasn't old enough. You're not old enough to do this. Obviously, they have before, but within conversationally, you know, you can have good conversations with anybody, no matter their age. And when they learned that when they are more mature, they have better conversations, they will strive for maturity. And the quicker that you mature, I remember my freshman year, I came to that same retreat that I met you, and I hung out with all the seniors, even though I was a freshman. And by the end, they were like, "How old are you? 16, 17?" I'm like, "I am almost 15." Like, and they're like, whoa, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, because my parents, they raised me as if, be older. Your age doesn't determine what you're ready for, it's your maturity. And so I feel like that is the number one biggest thing for parents is encourage maturity and don't shut down due to age, because then they're going to turn into that age, right? So I guess that's my little snippet on that.
Love it. That's great, Hall. And what I would encourage, parents to do is number one, parents get healthier emotionally yourself,
Yeah, that's right.
because it has absolutely changed my emotional health or healing journey has impacted my relationship with the Lord for the
Absolutely.
better. It's impacted my marriage. It's impacted my parenting. Man, if I had not been growing myself emotionally these past 4 years, there is no doubt in my mind I would be paying for my daughter's therapy, because of how just emotionally dysfunctional, emotionally clueless I have been for most of my life, again until 4 years ago. So
Hmm.
it's so important for parents to take ownership of your own emotional growth. And as you get healthier emotionally,
Right.
guess what? Teach those lessons, just like Hall's mom's been doing. Teach those lessons to your children, and and realize it's a journey, right? It's not an overnight. Your emotional health is not an overnight. Okay, I read a book, I listened to a podcast. All of a sudden I'm emotionally
It's
healed.
not a one and done.
Boom. That's right. It's a process and a journey.
And and I
Go
think
ahead.
it's so cool too, because it hasn't just been my mom either that's taught me all these things. And it's been both my parents, because as they've both grown up, I mean, they grew up very, very differently. My dad was a pastor's kid, and my mom came out of a home without a father who's an alcoholic mother. I mean, very different backgrounds. And my dad, I mean, he handles emotion differently, but he, like, for me, when I talk to him about stuff, his I love the way that he handles emotion. He's like, well, that's the way the world works. It's, here we go. Let's jump back in. Let's get back out there. Cause you know, not necessarily shutting down emotions, but realizing that the world is a lot bigger than just you, right? You might be feeling this, but so are 700,000 other people. And I think it's been a great dynamic, because I guess for parents, teamwork with your spouse is important too, because I've seen that in divorced households. A child acts differently at one and then switches to another. They're a different person when they switch houses, and it can be really, really tough. So for I would say that teamwork in maturing and growing your kids emotionally is really important. And like you said, parents, work on yourself too, because it's that I feel like that's really, really important. And I mean, because the Bible teaches us to love ourselves too, not only to love the Lord and other people, to love ourselves, because we can't love other people if we don't love ourselves. I truly believe that if you do not love yourself, there is no way that you can give any sort of true love to another individual, right? And so I feel like it's the same parallel with emotional intelligence. And if you have a lot of baggage, you will pass it on inadvertently, right? And so really, for me, the number one reason that I feel like I've really wanted to dive into this emotional intelligence journey is so that when I'm going through life, my number one goal in all of life, but the entire scope of my life, is to have kids that I'm proud of, that go out and they do good things in the world. That's my number one goal. And then I work backwards. How do I make that happen? All right. Well, I got to make relationships with people, have to find someone, right? And it all boils down to, how well can I present myself in the world? How do I handle things? And then that boils down to emotional intelligence, because I mean, as humans, we see a human being every single day. Just like 99.9% of the time, we see other human beings, and we have to learn how to do that well. Right. And so I feel like it's so, so important for me to understand this emotional intelligence and start the fitness now, because it's not a one and done, right? It carries on. So, I want to start now, so that when I get to the point where I do have kids and it's my turn to do what my mom did and what my dad does, that I can do it right, just like they did. So
That's right, bro. That's right. Big haul. That is so awesome. We all get our emotional foundations for our lifetime from our childhoods.
right,
Lottie Dottie, everybody.
no matter
Don't
what.
pass go. Don't collect $200. Like everybody, whether you're, you had a great childhood, you had a dysfunctional, like, and so that's number one. So number one is everybody develops our emotional foundations from our childhoods.
I learned that in your triggers class.
What? Awesome.
Yeah.
The second thing is nobody leaves their childhood unscathed.
Yep.
And so for you to already have these tools, you will be in the best position to leave your childhood unscathed, but not because you haven't had emotional injuries, but you've got the tools to know how to work through those emotional injuries and emotional challenges and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because of
Exactly.
the environment that your folks have created in your home, because of the own work that they have done and or are doing,
That's
which
right.
is awesome. So, which is again setting that example. So, Hall, thank you so much, bro. Totally appreciate your time. You're skinny. That was awesome. And again, at some point, put in a good word, bro. I want to come visit the folks, man. I
For
gotta
sure.
see who was behind the big haul.
You meet Big Chicken.
Awesome. That's right. Big Poppy meets Big Chicken.
For sure.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, brother. And again, one more time, tell us how we can find you, connect with you, follow you.
For
You know,
sure. So the best way is Instagram. My photography page is King Tide Photography, like king like a crown. King Tide Photography, and then my personal account is Redfish Hall, all one word. And through all those, you can find my website on either one of those pages, and start from there.
awesome. Thank you so much, Hall. Appreciate your time,
Thank
brother. You
you.
rock like ZZ Top, bro.
Good to see you again.
You too, brother.